So let's get started in a seated position today. Any position that feels comfortable for you. And then just sit up nice and tall, drawing the crown of the head toward the ceiling. And bring the eyes to close. Palms can be face down or face up on the thighs or knees. Draw the shoulder blades gently together at the back, shining the heart forward. And on your next inhale, really fill the belly up. Let it be free without any tension. And as you exhale, let the belly remain pretty full and free. Just let the breath gently back out the nose. Just continuing with your natural inhales and exhales. Just bring attention to your belly. See if you can release it just a little bit more. And then see if you can make your breath a little slower. Bring your full attention to your mat, to this present moment that you are offering as a gift to yourself. In today's practice, we're going to focus on new beginnings. I just had a nephew born yesterday, and so it brings about the thoughts of renewal and freshness and all the opportunity and possibility in front of us. So as we go through this sequence, you'll notice that we'll repeat some of the same moves throughout, adding on and modifying just a little bit. Because what I've noticed in life is that sometimes it seems like an opportunity has passed, never to come back to us again. But in fact, if it was meant for us on our journey, it will reveal itself in a different way. It will come back around, and we can grab hold of that opportunity again. And so with that, take one more deep inhale, oxygenating the blood, and then one big exhale out through the mouth. Returning to your natural inhale and exhale. And then you can keep your eyes closed here, or you can gently flutter them open, taking in the light around you. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Gaze can stay forward to start. Bring the palms to face each other. And then draw the shoulders down away from the ears. And then exhale, bringing the left arm down to the side, right arm up and overhead. Gaze can go gently under that armpit. Really stretching through the side body. And then inhale the left arm back up and overhead. And as you exhale, bringing the right arm down, left arm comes up and overhead. Gaze under that left arm. Inhale back up. One more to each side. Left arm down, right arm up and over. And then both arms back to center as the right arm comes down, left arm up and over. Inhale it back to center. And then find a forward fold here. Just bring the fingertips out in front of you and press into those fingertips to root the sits bones back on the mat. And then maybe you walk those fingertips or slide the hands out a little bit more, keeping that flat back and staying rooted through the sits bones. Just allow the breath to take you a little deeper. And sometimes that going deeper is just in the mind, and that's enough. One more breath here. And then round through the spine, drag the fingertips to come back in. And then switch the cross of the legs. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Maybe gaze goes up this time. Draw the shoulders away from the ears as shoulder blades gently come together. Just notice the different sensation as you look up. And then bring the gaze back to center. Grab opposite elbows here. From here, lean over to the right. Once again, gaze comes under that armpit. So you are still getting that side bend stretch here. Making sure to stay up nice and tall. So draw those forearms back toward the ears. And then rise back to center, gaze back to center. Lean it over to the left, gaze under the right armpit. And then back to center, one more time to each side, leaning over to the right, gaze under the left. Shine that heart forward, draw the forearms back. And then back to center, and last time over to the left. Bring it back to center. Release the arms up and overhead. And once again, take that forward fold here. So fingertips draw to the ground first, press into the fingertips to get a nice long back. Rooting in through the sits bones. And then if you want to, you can walk the hands out. Just use that breath to guide you wherever the body is calling you to go. Taking one more breath here. And then round through the spine, drag the fingertips back in. Sit up nice and tall. Bring the fingertips out alongside you and press into the fingertips, keeping the arms nice and straight, and then draw the shoulders away from the ears once again. And just sitting here for a couple rounds of breath. And if you'd like a little bit more sensation in the hips, you can bring the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. Just adjusting so that you can sit up nice and tall. And then drop the chin down toward the chest. Drag the fingertips forward, just gently on the mat or the ground in front of you. And then round the spine, dragging the fingertips around, bringing them all the way behind the body. Rising back up, gaze to center. And just one more of those, rounding through the spine, drag the fingertips forward. And then rising back up, fingertips come behind you, sit up nice and tall. And then you can use your hands to help your knees come to center. And bring the arms out nice and wide. Sit up nice and tall here. Shoulders away from the ears. And then wrap your arms around your legs, rounding your chin down toward your chest. Take a nice big squeeze, big hug here. Really squeezing in. Feeling the compression. And then on the next inhale, rise back out. Arms come to a T. One more time, take a big hug, rounding in. And then on your next inhale, rise back out, arms come to a T. You can bring your hands down, swing your legs to one side, and come into a tabletop pose here. So just having that neutral spine here, press into the palms, separating the shoulder blades a little bit this time. And then take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. One more time, inhale, drop the belly. And exhale, round the spine. Coming back to neutral, tuck the toes and hover the knees up off the mat. Just an inch or so. Holding here, getting nice and strong. Feel the engagement through your belly. And then over the next breath, raise the hips up, downward facing dog. Pedaling it out here in any way that you need to. Taking any movement, or just staying in stillness. And then we'll meet in downward facing dog in the still form. Press into those palms, track the heels down toward the mat. It's always okay to have a bend in your knees. And then take tiny steps toward the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Sweep the arms out, up and overhead, rising up to a new day. And exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale the arms out and up. And exhale as you hinge at the hips, folding forward, plant the hands, step it back into plank pose. Hold in plank pose. And then return to downward facing dog. Once again, pressing into the palms, track the heels down toward the mat. And we'll take these tiny steps toward the top of the mat. As slow as you can until you find yourself in a forward fold. Sometimes these tiny steps get us toward the new beginnings rather than one big leap. Let your head and hands hang heavy in your forward fold. And then inhale to halfway lift. Fingertips come to top of shins. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale the arms out, up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center, moving nice and slow with the breath. Inhale the arms out and up. Exhale to hinge at the hips, folding forward, step it back into plank pose. Hold here. Engage through the core. And then press it back, downward facing dog. One more time, tiny steps to the top of the mat. Getting in tune with the body. Let yourself hang here in forward fold. Then inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Sweep the arms out and up. Gaze follows, look up, reach up, and exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale the arms out and up, hinging at the hips as you fold forward, stepping it back into plank pose. Get nice and strong in this plank pose, and then just begin to bend the knees, hover them off the mat, and then re-extend. Bend to hover, extend to strength. 2 more times, bend to hover, feel that in your core. And last time, bend to hover, and back to plank, and then back to downward facing dog. See if you can get your heels just a little bit closer to the earth if they're not touching already. And then this time, find yourself in a pouncing position. So bring your belly back toward your thighs. And on the count of 3, hop toward the top of the mat. 1, 2, 3, hop. Bring the fingertips on the mat. So bend your knees as much as you need to stay in connection with the mat here. Maybe your belly is still touching your thighs. And then press into the feet, straighten the legs any amount. So for me, that's a really tiny amount, but I can still feel that stretch in the back of the legs. So pressing into the fingertips, into the feet, straightening the legs. And then bend again, bend nice and deep. And one more time, straighten the legs any amount. And then bend the knees and rise up into chair pose. Arms come up and overhead. From here, tuck that tailbone under a little bit. And then forward fold, fingertips once again find the mat. Head can hang heavy here. And then bend the knees deeply, arms rise, chair pose. So from here, really root down into that left foot. And then begin to straighten the left leg. Right leg rises with a bend in the knee at 90 degrees. Flex through the right foot. And then hug that left hip in, making sure that you're not swaying out here. And arms can stay up or come to your hips or to heart center. Wherever you are, finding some stillness, steadiness, strength. One more breath here. Flex through those right toes. And then twist over to the right, finding those long T arms. And then come back to center. And open the right leg out to the side. Ooh. Find your balance here. I'm saying that to myself. Hug that left hip in. And then bring that right leg back to that 90 degrees out in front of you. Once again, T-twist over to the right. Ooh. And then bring it back to center. Opening it up one more time. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh, sink back down into gentleman style chair. Bring the hands to heart center. I am wobbly on this side. And just shine that heart forward. And then press into that left foot, rise up. Right knee comes back to 90 degrees. And then sink it back down, chair pose. From here, root down into the right foot as the left foot rises 90 degrees. You can always adjust those arms, bringing them to the hips or to heart center. Finding some stillness, hugging that right hip in. And then open your arms out to a T, T-twist over to the left. And then back to center. From here, open the leg out to the side. Nice and strong. Wobbles are okay. And then bring it back to front. T-twist open. Bring the arms back to center. Open that leg out to the side. One more time, flexing through the foot. Hugging the right hip in. And then cross the left ankle over the right thigh, sinking into gentleman style chair. Root down into that standing foot. Shine your heart forward, sink just a little bit deeper, bend that standing leg. And then rise back up, leg comes to 90 degrees, and then sit back down, chair pose. And then we'll take some alternating standing poses here. So keep the arms where they are, root down into the left foot, right foot rises up. Draw that knee in toward the chest, and then sink back down, chair pose. Root down into the left foot, left foot rises up, and back down, and just move from side to side, sinking into chair, and then your left foot rises, or right foot. Getting into those hips and then giving them a little break. So move nice and slow. Notice your breath. And anytime you wobble, it's okay because you'll have another chance. Take one more on each side. And we'll meet in chair pose. Sink nice and deep here, tucking that tailbone. And as you exhale, fold forward, step it back into downward facing dog. Roll it forward into plank pose and back into dog. And forward into plank and back into dog. One more time. Forward into plank and back into dog. Holding here, track those heels toward the mat. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time. Then inhale the right leg back behind you and exhale to step it through in between the hands. Finding that low runner's lunge here. Just look forward a few inches, maybe toward the top of your mat. And then fix the hips if you need to so that they are pointed forward or forward-ish. And drop that left knee down to the mat, rising up, low lunge. And exhale to reframe. Tuck the left toes under, coming back to that runner's lunge. Rise up, high lunge. T-twist over to the right. Holding here, bend through that right leg. And then rise up. And exhale to frame that right foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back behind you, and exhale to step it through in between the hands. Find that runner's lunge here. Send the gaze slightly forward and position the hips so that they both face forward. Feel the opening in the right hip flexor. Then drop the right knee down, untuck the toes, rise up, low lunge. Reframe that left foot, tuck the right toes, runner's lunge, and then rise up, high lunge. T-twist over to the left, really bending through the left leg, opening up through the belly. And then rise back up through high lunge, frame the left foot, and step it back, downward facing dog. Pedaling it out here. Rolling forward into plank pose. Exhale it back into downward facing dog. Forward into plank. And back into dog. One more time. Flow forward into plank. And back into dog. Inhale the right leg back up behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Lower the left knee down to the mat, untuck the toes, and rise up, low supported lunge. From here, grab the left wrist with the right hand and really reach up out of the arms first. Hug the shoulder blades together and then lean over to the right. Bring it back to center. Switch the grip of the wrist, reach up and out first, and then lean over to the left. Bring it back to center. Release the wrist. Look up. And exhale to frame that front foot. Tuck the left toes and rise up, high lunge. T-twist over to the right. Hips are pointed forward. And then rise back up, high lunge. Frame the right foot. And once again, drop that left knee down to the mat, untuck the toes. Rise up, low supported lunge, gaze wherever it's comfortable. Allow yourself to sink a little bit into this pose to really open up that left hip flexor. And then from here, bring the right hand to the right hip and really lean over toward the right, left arm up and overhead. And then bring both hands back up and overhead. Frame that right foot, tuck the left toes, step it back, downward facing dog. Take just a moment here. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. And then inhale that left leg back up behind you and exhale to step it through in between the hands. Find that runner's lunge here. And then lower the right knee down to the mat, untuck the toes. Rise all the way up. Arms up overhead for a low supported lunge. Let yourself sink in just a little bit. And then right hand grabs, left hand grabs through the right wrist. Reach up and out, and then lean over to the left. And then come back to center, switch the grip of the wrist. Right wrist grabs left and over to the right. Hips are facing forward. Back to center. Release the grip. And then frame that left foot. Tuck the right toes, rising up all the way into high lunge. Bend through that left leg and then T-twist over to the left. Hips are facing forward. The twist is coming from the core. Arms back up and overhead. Frame that left foot. Drop the right knee down to the mat, untuck the toes. Rise up, low lunge. And then bring the left hand to the left hip. Reach up and over with the right arm. And then rise back to center, both arms up overhead. Exhale to frame that left foot, tuck the right toes, step it back, downward facing dog, pedal it out. Roll forward into plank pose. Drop the knees down. Find your cow back, sway back. Bend the elbows until your chest and chin touch the mat, hips nice and high. Then scoot forward to baby cobra. Exhale to release. Rise up, baby cobra. Maybe hover the hands off the mat. Exhale to release. Last time, rise up, baby cobra. Exhale to release. And push it back into a child's pose. Really feel the belly in between the thighs. Tapping into that core, tapping into those new beginnings, whether it comes from actually producing a new life for someone else or for yourself by tapping into your intuition, into your gut. One more breath here. Inhale, exhale through the mouth, and then press into the palms, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Find yourself at the top of the mat in a forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweep the arms out, up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale the arms out and up. Bend through the knees, chair pose. Tuck that tailbone under. Shine the heart forward. And from here, wave the hands back. So draw the shoulder blades together. Palms can face together behind you. And then sweep them forward and up. Gaze can follow. Use your glutes in this chair pose. Sweep the arms back. Gaze can go down. Palms face together. And then sweep the arms forward. Gaze up. One more time. Sweep the arms back. And then sweep the arms up and forward. Press into the right foot, left leg comes up toward the chest. Really flexing through those left toes. T-twist over toward the left. Find your stability. And then sweep the arms up and overhead. Open the left leg out to the side. And then cross the ankle over the right thigh, sinking down, gentleman style chair. Rise back up. Knee comes to 90 degrees. And then just sink back down, chair pose. From here, cactus the arms, drawing the shoulder blades together, elbows toward the back, and release. Cactus the arms, elbows come toward one another, and release. Make sure to use your thighs and your glutes in chair pose. Last cactus, and release. And then press into that left foot, right foot rises. Flex through the right toes. T-twist over toward the right. And then back to center. Open the right leg out to the side, keeping the hips nice and level. Then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. And sink into gentleman style chair. Rise back up, right leg comes to 90 degrees, then sink back into chair pose. Once again, pressing into the right foot, left foot comes up to rise, and sweep it out and open to the left. Make sure hip points are facing forward, and then point through the left toes. And just draw those left toes down toward the inner arch of your right foot, and then back out to the side. And down toward the inner arch, and back out to the side, down toward the inner arch, out to the side. 2 more at your own pace. And then once you're done with your 2, bring it back to 90 degrees. Sink back into chair pose. Tuck that tailbone, use your glutes and your thighs. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. And then we'll move to the other side. Press into that left foot, right foot rises. Flex through first. Then open it up out to the side. Hip points are even, facing forward. Point through the right toes, and then inner arch and rise. Tap the inner arch and rise. 3 more. And we'll meet back with that leg out to the side, and then bring it back to 90 degrees, sinking back into chair pose for 3 rounds of breath. Then folding forward, plant the hands, step it back into downward facing dog. Then roll it forward into plank pose. optional vinyasa. Vinyasa of your choice. Meeting back in down dog. And then roll forward into plank pose. Drop the knees down to the mat, untuck the toes. So find yourself in tabletop, adjusting as you need to. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. 2 more. And then come back to center. Bring that right leg long behind you. Flex through the toes. Really flex through those right toes. And once again, getting those hip points to face down toward the mat as much as you can. Then draw the left arm out in front of you, holding this static bird dog. Tap into that core. See if you can find your intuition there. And then draw the elbow and knee to meet underneath the body. And release it back out. Elbow and knee meet. Release it back out. 1 more. Elbow and knee meet. Release it back out. Holding here. And then bring the left hand down to the mat. And bring the right foot in between the hands. Once again, finding that low supported lunge. Hopefully this feels a little more open than it did at the beginning of class, that you can feel a difference. And then rise up, arms up and overhead. T-twist over to the right. And then reverse it here. Left arm up and overhead. Right hand finds the left thigh or calf. Stay nice and lifted. And then T-twist back over to the right. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Frame that right foot, plant the left palm, twist over toward the right. Release the right hand down. And then just step that right leg back, finding yourself in tabletop position once again. Take a round of cat-cow. And then come back to center. Release that left leg long behind you. Flex through the toes, really flex. Hip points point toward the mat. Readjust your hands as you need to find some stability, and then release that right arm out in front of you. Gaze down toward the mat to keep a nice long neck. Spend 5 rounds of breath here. And then on the next breath, elbow and knee meet. And release. Elbow and knee meet, moving nice and slow. And release. 1 more time. Hold here in this static bird dog. And then right hand comes down to the mat. Step the left foot through, finding that low supported lunge. Inhale the arms up and overhead, and T-twist over to the left. Twist through the belly, and then reverse it. So the great thing about these new beginnings and new opportunities is that sometimes when they come around again, we're ready. We're more open. Our mindset is different. T-twist over to the left. Sweep the arms up and overhead. And then frame that left foot, plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. Reframe that left foot, step it back into tabletop pose here. And just rock the hips from side to side. Once again, toes come together, knees come nice and wide. Lower the forehead down to the ground. Allow your forearms to come to the mat, or you can even sweep them alongside your body. So tapping in here, is there anything that you're ready for? That you're open for, an opportunity that you want to grab hold of? And then bring the palms back in. Come back into tabletop pose. Tuck the toes, hover the knees up off the mat. Tapping into that core, finding your strength. And then press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back up behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Tap the right knee down and move just a little bit faster for this flow. Rise up, low supported lunge. T-twist over toward the right. Arms back to center. Frame that right foot and tuck the left toes under, knee comes up off the mat. Rise up, high lunge. T-twist over toward the right. Twist through that belly and then reverse it here. Left arm high, right arm finds the thigh. Come back through T-twist. Sweep the arms forward into high lunge. And exhale to frame the right foot, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Frame the right foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Roll it forward into plank pose, optional vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. From down dog, inhale the left leg back behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Lower the right knee down, untuck the toes, rise up, low supported lunge. T-twist over toward the left and back to low supported lunge. Frame the left foot, tuck the right toes, rise up into high lunge. Bend through the left knee. T-twist over to the left and reverse. T-twist, back to high lunge. Frame that left foot, plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. And then frame the left foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back behind you. Exhale to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. And then point the toes toward the edge of the mat. Heel comes in just slightly. And you can begin to twist over toward the right. Find the right palm to the inside of the right thigh. Twist through the belly here. And then staying in this twist, tap the left knee down to the mat and straighten it back. Tap the left knee and straighten. Tap and straighten. 2 more. Then unwind and drop the left knee down to the mat, untuck the toes. Feel free to stay right here. You can come up on your fingertips. You can come down on your palms, or you can come down on your forearms. And then if you'd like to, you can tuck those toes again and bring that knee up off the mat. Just see what works for your body. They're all great poses. Our bodies are all different, so just listen to yours. And then if you've come down to your forearms, come back to your palms. If you're on your fingertips, come back to your palms. And then Tuck the left toes under, release the knee, and step that right foot back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Let that side go. And then inhale the left leg back up behind you, and exhale to step it to the outside of the left hand. Point the toes toward the outer edge of the mat, heel comes slightly in, and then twist over toward the left. So left palm comes to the inside of the left thigh, get nice and strong here, twist through that belly, press down into the right palm to stay lifted. And then we'll take 5 knee taps with that right knee. So hover or tap and straighten, staying twisted. I'm on my last one, but no rush. Tap and straighten. And then gently unwind. Bring the palms to the inside of the left foot. And you can come up onto your fingertips or down, stay down on your palms, or maybe come down on your forearms. If you have blocks handy, those can be nice too. And drop that right knee down. Untuck the toes. If you're down on your forearms, or you like to have those right toes tucked, feel free to stay there. Wherever you are, allow yourself to find some ease. Sometimes it can sound really silly to say to find some ease in these effortful poses, but I know you can do it. If you're on your forearms or fingertips, come back to your palms. Tuck those right toes, knee comes up off the mat, and step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back up behind you, and exhale to step it to the outside of the right hand, and then bring that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Pivot the toes out, heels in. Find your Ardha Malasana first, hips nice and high, fingertips come to the mat, back strong. Press into those fingertips. Feel that strength in your hip flexors. If you want to, just an option, you can sink into your full Malasana. And then let yourself feel really heavy here, kind of dumping into this pose. Then press into the feet to find a little bit more strength, just a tiny bit of lift out of the hip flexors. And send the arms out in front of you and rise all the way up, straighten the legs. Yeah. And exhale, hands through heart center, sink back into your Malasana. Keep that strength in the hips. Keep that strength. And then sit all the way down onto the mat. Bring the soles of the feet together. And you can have the heels in close to the body or far away. Bring your hands to your ankles and sit up nice and tall. You can pull a little bit on those ankles to help you. Crown of the head draws up toward the ceiling. Then as you exhale, round through the spine, elbows can bend, chin drops toward the chest. Inhale it back up, sit up nice and tall. And exhale, round the spine. Sit up nice and tall. And one more time, rounding through. Drop the chin. And then rise back up. Inhale the arms up overhead. And cross the legs. So one foot in front of the other. Gaze up toward the fingertips. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall, sits bones are rooted. And then bring the gaze back to center. Left arm drops, right arm reaches up and overhead. And then inhale both arms back to center. Right arm drops, left arm up and overhead. One more time to each side. And both arms back up overhead. Switch the cross of the legs and grab opposite elbows. So pull the upper arms toward the ears and reach out through the forearms. So you're sitting up nice and tall. We'll just find those crescent shapes to each side. So lean over toward the left, gaze up under that right arm. Back to center and over to the right, gaze up under the left arm. One more to each side. When you're ready, both arms up overhead and twist over toward the left. So the right palm finds the left knee. Back hand is a little kickstand. Wringing out the core here. Releasing that intuition, releasing your gut feelings. Sending them to the brain, to the heart. And then inhale the arms up and overhead and twist over to the right. Back to center. And then drop the hands down by the sides, fingertips on the mat. Just drop the left cheek over toward the left shoulder. Sitting up nice and tall. You can bring the eyes to close here. And drop the chin down toward the chest. And roll the neck over so that the right cheek drops toward the right shoulder. And one more time, sweep the chin over to the left. And then sweep the chin over toward the right, cheek toward the right shoulder. And then bring the head back to center and just take a gaze over each shoulder. It's important to open the neck after all those down dogs. Sometimes we can hold some tension. We want to make sure that we're leaving really open from this practice, ready to start the day. And then bring the gaze back to center and find yourself on your back. And we'll take one round of bridge here. So bring the heels in close enough that you can almost touch them with your fingertips and then press into the feet. Raise the lower back, middle back, upper back. If you'd like to bring the arms up and overhead, you can do that. I'm gonna exhale, lower it all the way back down. And from here, bring the arms out to a T or out to cactus. Draw the shoulder blades together. And then scoot the hips over to the right slightly and drop the legs over to the left. Gaze over the right shoulder. If you'd like to hook the left foot on top of the right thigh, feel free to do that. Just finding the right position for you to release the lower back and release the right hip flexor. If you've hooked the foot, unhook it. Draw the knees back to center, gaze back to center. And scoot the hips back to center first, and then scoot them over to the left. Drop the knees over toward the right, gaze over the left shoulder. And if you'd like to find that hook of the foot again, bring the right foot on top of the left thigh. Unhook the foot. Bring the knees back to center, hips back to center. And draw the knees in toward the chest. If you'd like to take a happy baby or any other pose or shape that's calling to you, take a moment now. And if your body is just calling for Shavasana, we'll all meet there. Sending the legs long toward the bottom of the mat, heels at least as wide as the mat. And send the arms out to the sides. Draw the shoulder blades together behind you, just gently to shine the heart upward. Let the head be heavy. Let the eyeballs be heavy. Unlock the jaw. Release the belly. And give yourself the gift of Shavasana. Gently rock your head from side to side. Send the arms up and overhead. Legs nice and long. You can bring the feet together, taking a nice, big, awakening stretch. And eventually, after you've taken movement that your body is asking for, roll to one side. Take at least a round of breath in fetal position. And whenever you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position with hands at heart center. So tap in to yourself, into new opportunity, into new beginnings. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me this morning. Namaste.